media, lot more over the top, etc. But over the top, all the Netflix, etc., etc. But for marketers, it's a bit of a problem because actually, because you are not outside the home, the touch points are much fewer. There is really essentially one touch point, which is the screen, and I think one of the most important things that has happened is that this sense of purpose that people, because they are at home and they have more time to think about life and what is the reason why they are what they are. And so self improvement has actually become the new well-being, which is why people are doing courses, they are doing learning new things, etc. It's a way of taking control of yourself and of your life. So there is actually considerable change that is happening. One of the most important changes before, and let me just conclude with that, is that the way we shop has changed completely. It is, we are far more digitized. We have now seen the convenience of shopping online, of shopping on our phones. It is unlikely that we will ever go back to, just window shopping and things like that. In fact, now what people do is they do all their shopping online for everyday what shall I say, low value things, and all their browsing is done online. You no longer browse in a store. So the only reason why you go outside is if you want to buy fresh or if there's an emergency. So that's a huge implication for our clients and for marketers, because it is how do you activate anything? The only thing that you can't actually put anything out there on a shelf and hope that people will pick it up, because people are just not going to stores. So there are many other changes, but these are some of the most significant ones that have happened with
Absolutely.
consumers.
So, since you're mentioning that people are doing online shopping in a big way, so that in
Yeah.
a way tells us that which are the sectors that are doing well. So,
Okay. So
telecom is doing well.
yeah, so the actually the sectors that are doing well are anything related to the home, anything that you need to survive in the home, and products that enhance immunity or provide protection, health and hygiene. Those are the sectors that are doing very well. Staples, home hygiene, personal hygiene, OTT is doing well, telecom is doing very well, and retail is doing well.
Retail.
Retail, traditional retail and e-commerce, both are doing well. The one thing that has really happened in this pandemic is that we have rediscovered our traditional, the our mom and pop stores, because they really came to the fore. They were there.
Yeah.
They, what happened in Bombay, guys. So you could order. They would come there, deliver, they would take orders. They did digital payments. They
Absolutely.
suddenly evolved into this really. They were just there for people when you had to get food, for instance.
Yeah.
Those will do well. Job portals are doing very well, expectedly. The ones which will recover slowly are packaged goods. Like I was saying, small indulgences, packaged goods, snacks, noodles, chocolates, all of those. The other things that will recover quite quick soon, I think, is anything that makes your living more comfortable. So furniture, home furniture, small gadgets, uh, automotive cars, for instance, because people are now, if you can afford it, you would prefer to be traveling in your own
Own
little
vehicle.
space. So that will do better. What is very badly hit and will take really tough time to recover are any services where human contact is needed. Unless it's online, that service will not exist. So gyms have become online, yoga has become online.
Mm.
Travel will take a very long time to recover.
Hospitality.
Hospitality, restaurants, all of those, yeah, they will take time to recover.
Since we are discussing, I mean, we came to hospitality, a lot of this out of home expenditure has gone down.
Yes, yes,
And so
yes.
yeah, we are ordering everything online. So this,
Right.
do you think this delivery of food online is a way that will help restaurants stay
Yeah,
afloat?
yeah.
Or does
That's
it
what
not?
they restaurants have done. They've actually done and that's the route that they've taken. And I must also emphasize that, the food delivery services, the Swiggy and Zomato and and even the Domino's and all of the world. If you remember the worst days of the lockdown and the pandemic, sometimes the only other human being you saw was your food delivery guy. And actually brands in the food delivery service have built emotional connect through those food delivery chaps or whatever. So they were really on the ball as far as helping consumers in the pandemic
And
was
that's the
concerned.
way forward, you think?
And consumers don't forget. Consumers will remember that you were there for them when you needed them. For instance, telecom, it was you desperately needed the internet at that time, right? Because there was no other way of communicating, of working, of learning, of socializing. The telecom businesses, they could have very easily take at that time increased their prices, done, because consumers were at their most vulnerable and they didn't do it. They actually extended talk time. I think Airtel gave some 6,000 rupees worth free of courses. The you can learning courses, you can do free. Then Airtel, again, I think they paid 1 month's salary for 30,000 of their suppliers, people. Okay. And they are known for milking us at other times, but at this time they were really there for the consumers, and the consumers don't forget these things.
Yes. You think that will help in, taking the brand further forward?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what do consumers want? Consumers, uh, during the pandemic, what has happened is that trust as an attribute in brand choice has become very important. And what is trust today? Trust is not about stability and this and that. It is about, are you there for me as a friend? Are you there for me in a practical sense? When I need you, are you there for me? And if a brand can do that, then that brand gets the trust that you need.
So full marks to Airtel on that then.
Airtel, yeah. Actually, even Geo did a good job. Let's
Yeah.
not.
They did not. Preeti,
Yeah,
Srivastava, well done.
yeah,
Let's take an audience
yeah,
question
Thank
now.
you.
Yeah. There is a question from Ritu Mathur.
yeah,
While there is a natural shift to online, is the
yeah.
offline or traditional way of delivering goods and services a thing of the past, definitely? Or do you foresee a slow return?
No, I think there will be a slow return. The only thing is that the what they will do in various shopping formats will differ. Like I was saying, the on online will never go away. I mean, online will become more and more important. Online will become the place where you do browsing, because the people have just found it so convenient.
Yeah.
But there is an experience that the store offers you. So for that, inside the store, it will be about indulgence categories, it will be about when you want service, but all that presupposes you will have a vaccine. uh, uh, a lot of shopping will be on the go, and for emergency and fresh, as I said, that is when you will just go to the shop and just pick up stuff and go away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Okay.
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So, uh, has the trend of consumers buying premium products, has that seen a shift? Are people putting off big ticket expenditure? Big
Yeah,
ticket.
they're putting off big ticket expenditure for sure. They definitely are. They're not, that travel is one thing that they're not taking expensive holidays. And automotive buying is coming back. But, there was premiumization happening even in everyday FMCG, meaning that they were buying premium soaps and premium shampoos and premium apparel. uh, that has stopped a little, but it has taken a different tone. What has happened is that there is a shift from buying unbranded to branded because of health and hygiene reasons. The fact that consumers which is true also. Consumers think that branded is healthier and more high. It's not, I know about healthier, but it's more hygienic. So that's why there is a movement. Tea, for instance, a lot of it used to be unbranded. Now it is more branded. Atta is more branded. So all those commodities are moving towards branded, and that's all a premiumization of a different sort.
So it's working both ways. At one
It's
end of the
working
spectrum,
both
I
ways.
mean, people are moving from
Exactly.
unbranded to branded, at the same time putting off really
Absolutely.
buying
Putting off
premium
high
products.
ticket item expenditure.
And this local for vocal for local,
Yeah.
has that been resonating with Indian consumers? Are Indian consumers actively looking for local products?
So, vocal for local is a theme globally. And this movement towards local is something that's happening all over the world. In India, it has great resonance. It will remain a theme. And the only thing is, but to be local doesn't always mean local ownership. In fact, Indian consumers don't really know what is a local or what is a global brand. I mean, does anybody really think that Hindustan Lever is actually a global brand? They think it's an Indian brand. And you've seen those, you must have seen this thing, that videos that went viral about these people who were who were breaking what they thought were Chinese TV sets made by Samsung. So they don't know origin
Tata for that
really.
matter.
Yeah, okay. But you have to be seen as Indian. You have to be perceived as Indian. And the only thing is that the Indian consumer is smart. They may not pay more for local. I mean, just because it is local, they will not pay more for it. You still have to demonstrate that there is value in that brand for them to be paying more. Yeah,
As always, the Indian consumer is looking for value and
correct.
discounts. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Let's take another audience question here. This is from
yeah.
Rafi Prasad. What is your, what in your opinion are permanent consumer habits that may change post COVID? We have seen
From
FMCG online sales increase from 2 to 3% to 4 to 5%. Do you see that people to continue to increase, or will people go back to buying from offline stores?
I thought we have
Yeah,
answered that
kind
question.
of, yes,
It's
we
a
said
permanent, it is
the
going to be a
permanent.
permanent change. You will see more and more of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's another question about women in the pandemic. We've also
Women in the
discussed,
pandemic.
yes. I remember you mentioning that the Indian consumer always used to be very overtly optimistic. Has
Yeah.
that changed? Are we still very
The
optimistic?
surprising thing is it hasn't, in the sense that there was a time when consumer confidence, actually even now, consumer confidence in India is it really dropped. At this point, it's lower than it ever used to be. But in September, we did a study where we asked consumers, when do you think, it was in September, okay, when do you think things will come back to normal? And only 20% of them said, we don't know. 20% said end of September, another 20% said December, and some 20% really pessimistic said March tak sab theek ho jayega, So they are really very optimistic. We're a very resilient consumer we have. And they remain optimistic. Their faith in God and their faith in the government is really testimony to a lot of
That
optimism.
augurs well for all of us, for the
Yes,
economy, for the
yes, yes.
country, for the government.
I know.
People
So the government
optimistic.
just has to give them money, they will spend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So among the Indian brands, I think this also we discussed. Which are the Indian brands which have done really well?
So the Indian brands that have done well, without naming the specific brands, were the brands in the sectors that I mentioned: the telecom sector,
Telecom.
the
Okay.
retail sector, the this thing, digital payments. What is it? That sector, and job portals did well. Personal care also did well, because, as I was saying, on that lipstick effect, and also health and hygiene. So all those brands did well. So FMCG did do well. Yeah.
So I mean, and things are looking up. I think that the demand is actually, a lot of economists have been saying that there's a demand side problem to the Indian economy. We are technically in a recession. last two
We're technically,
quarters?
yeah, we're technically actually in a recession in the sense that it has, we were an economy, or the Indian consumer, it was a very aspiring economy, right? We were aspiring to be a rich country. We want to be a rich country, right? So the pandemic, before that, the demonetization, and then the pandemic brought that to like some kind of a rude halt. But things are recovering. Consumer confidence is coming back. And there is what you call, I think the term is revenge buying, revenge spending, which is I've not been able to spend. I have money. I know I'm not going to be able to spend on big ticket items. I'm not foolish enough to do that either because there's still uncertainty. But small things I will buy. FMCG will do well.
People are
Apparel they're still
buying
not buying a lot of.
lots of gold during Diwali.
Gold, yeah, 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 exactly. But that happens every festival. It's just that it's come back, meaning that for some, many marketers thought that it wouldn't happen, but it has.
Okay. So Kantar over a period of time has also been heavily investing in analytics
Yeah,
and
yeah,
collecting a lot of behavioral data.
yeah.
How does that help?
So
And
what's
are people
happened?
ready to
Yeah.
share all this data?
It's not very, it's, well, some clients do share, but or actually clients are trying to monetize it because they finally realize the value of some of the behavioral data that they have. We are in the business of human understanding, really. Okay, now human understanding can be through you ask people, you watch what they do, or you look at their behavior. Over time, all three are important. All three help in explaining, to give you a human understanding. Over time, what has happened is that there is a lot more behavioral data now available. It never used to be available. It's available now. Telecom companies have them. Retail companies have this data. Social media, my God, whether you want their opinion or not, they're giving you their opinions. And there is a wealth of understanding in that. So that's why we're investing in it, because every data point tells you something about consumers and about humans.
Or is
And
there a loss of
and
privacy there somewhere?
sorry, yaar, and some tea as well. Okay, uh, take it away. Go. My dog has come. Sorry, go.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah.
No,
I'll give you. I'll give you.
Go. Sorry. Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Enjoy a cup of tea. Yeah.
No, no, it's okay, man. Neelu, this is my dog whom I want you to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can say hello to her. Him.
It's okay. She'll do telepathically. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chalo.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Husband, can't we talk to the husband?
To the husband, you can talk separately. Ah, this is my hour.
Okay. Okay. I think we've spoken a lot about, consumer behavior, consumer trend. Now, shifting to
Huh.
the other part of the discussion today, which is about the role of women,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
about corporate Indian women.
yeah.
Preeti, you've shattered many glass ceilings. You're continuing to do so. You've been on this list of the 50 most powerful Indian women in Indian media. The list has had others like Shobna Bharatiya, Vinita Bali, Faye D'Souza.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you personally to be on, such a list?
I mean, it's a huge honor. Yeah. It makes you feel really good. It make almost as good as talking to you guys today. It's a it's a it's a huge honor, really.
Thank you.
But the other thing is that it's also an affirmation that the advertising, media, marketing, market research have always been very women centric. I mean, I think the proportion of women in these sectors has always been higher than in manufacturing or whatever. So it's an affirmation of how well women do when they're given a chance. There's some of I mean, all the women on that list, they're exemplary. I mean, it's an honor really to be part of them. But it's also an affirmation of a personal affirmation of business strategy, or of and of direct impact, not just impact through influence, but the reason why you get on that list is because because of financial performance. There is great weightage to financial performance, not just because they think you should be on it, etc. So it's a hard-nosed assessment on whether you performed financially, and that's based on financial parameters. So it's really an affirmation that the company is performing in business terms, and I'm a mere, what shall I say, representative of that. And there are many women and men in that company that deserve, that are part of that.
You're being too modest. It's not just the company, Preeti. It's also you, the personality, the person, who brings it
I
to
hope
the
so.
table.
Everybody needs a Moses.
You're also on the committee of the committee for inclusion and diversity at Kantar.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What steps have you taken or are taking to increase, to make it more comfortable or conducive for women to work there at Kantar?
So we take IND very seriously. There are various aspects to IND. The one that we have selected for India is gender. In other countries, it's gender plus, sometimes ethnicity, sometimes sexual orientation, etc. So for us, so you can choose what you want to focus on and how you want to do it. So we have chosen gender, and for us, it's about flexible working. It's about support groups when women return from maternity leave, because the major problem, we're a very women-friendly industry, but even for us, there is that time when women have children that they start dropping out. So you start out as 50-50 or more women, and you end up right at the top. The proportions start coming down steadily, even in our business. So we're doing these support groups. We're doing unconscious bias training. We're also, Anita's here, associating with organizations like the CII-IWN, the Indian Women's Network, which provides a platform for women for development, for advocacy, and for networking, because that's one of the things that men do very well. Women don't do so well in terms of building a network, of a support network, really. So those are things that we do. We're trying, Anita is part of the advocacy group for CII-IWN. We're trying to get gender wage gaps, get corporates to sign up to say that, that we're conscious of it and we will correct it, etc. So those are some of the things that we have done. But we are actually trying to, at least in Kantar, trying to work towards a more equal, it's about equality rather than anything else, because women have actually, just by the fact that we are there is we support women, because we take care of them, we worry about their safety, we worry about their food, we worry about their maternity, we worry about sexual harassment, all of that. They don't need I think that their lives at home are actually harder. I think we look after them a lot more sometimes than they are looked after at home. So we are their safe haven in that sense.
So this goes against the stereotype of women making bad bosses.
Yeah, that myth about women see, bad bosses are bad bosses, whether they're men or women. Good, you're lucky if you get a good boss. You're unlucky if you get a bad boss. But I just want to say that, I think what has happened is that in the early days of leadership, when there weren't so many women as there are now in leadership positions, the only role model you had were men. And for men at that time, it was a very alpha male, top down, masculine. I wouldn't even say male, it's a very masculine way of leadership. But over time, that has changed to a more democratic, more consultative, more collaborative style, which is not female, but it is feminine. Both men and women are adopting it because that's the only way it works in today's world. So now you don't have to be an alpha male to prove that you're a good leader. And I think that may be the change that has happened.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge change
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of leadership strategy. And
Yeah.
coming back to maternity leave, you mentioned about maternity leave. What are
Yeah.
your views on this new maternity policy where women can get up to 26 weeks off?
I think 26 weeks off is very welcome, but I've always said that it should be shared with the man, with the parent, whoever is the, I mean, with
Men should
the
also have
husband or whatever.
fathers should also have 26 weeks.
No, I mean, you give 26 weeks, you say 13 of that you take, and 13 of that your husband or your partner or whoever should take, because otherwise companies will start saying, oh God, why should I hire women?
Yeah,
They'll be off for 26 weeks or whatever. You say, hire, I mean, both of them should be off. They have each have as much of a role to play, isn't it?
absolutely. In fact, critics have said that it only impacts about 1% of working women in any case. This new maternity rule,
Uh,
because
the
of,
organized sector or whatever. I'm saying that in the unorganized sector, you don't have even a day's maternity leave. So, it's,
but paternity leave for men. So you are advocating that in your
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Uh, India's female labor force participation, the female labor
Hmm.
force participation is amongst the lowest in the world, definitely the lowest in South Asia. It's only about 20.5%.
Hmm.
That means 4 out of 5 women are not working in India.
So they're not working outside the home in India. All women work in the home all the time.
Unpaid domestic work.
So, and that labor is not recognized. Even GDP doesn't recognize that labor. So all women work. But there are some who work outside the home. More should work outside the home because it gives them financial independence more than anything else. And then the unorganized sector, for instance, there are women who work. No, then and they don't have the safety nets that the organized sector, for instance, provides them. But what we can do is what we've been trying to do at Kantar, which is during those times of their life or their life stages when they need support, when it is child care or elder care. Elder care is always the responsibility of the woman, right?
Lady of the house.
Uh, yeah, we're now giving creches. I think that is now legally you have to do if you have more than X number of people in your organization. 100% flexibility, support groups, manager training. Because sometimes what happens is that women come back from maternity leave and then they promptly leave because their manager is treating them so badly, saying as if reproduction is an unnatural thing and you're taking advantage of it. So those are the things that we've been trying to do to make sure that, and the other is that if you can allow them to come back without too much loss uh, of I don't know what you call it, seniority or
Productivity.
loss in their career, then they're more likely to stay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Hmm.
things have changed so much. That's like I was sharing with you earlier
Yeah,
when I had my first child. I mean, 20 years ago,
yeah,
there's no concept of maternity leave, and
correct,
either
correct.
you were in it or out of it
Exactly, exactly.
question. But anyway,
And then,
a lot of
people
things have
and those
changed.
days will say, oh, I'm pregnant. Oh shit. As if it's one really terrible thing that you have done, not the most natural thing on earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are your views about reservation for women on corporate boards in India?
I think like for any minorities, that some affirmative action is needed because women do make a difference. I mean, organizations that have women in leadership positions and on boards, etc., are better organizations. I've seen that. So we need them because they bring value. It is not in the normal course, it's going to take them very long to get there. So we need affirmative action. But like all affirmative action, maybe for a certain period of time. And then let nature, because I don't think any woman wants to be there just because she's a woman. No? They want, even on any board, you want to be there because they want you for the value you bring, right?
Do you think that that law is being, the sense, I mean, that
Yeah.
it's being implemented in spirit in terms of they're just taking women out of, business houses and putting them on the boards, not really getting professionals like you and, Preeti and the others here. Anita?
I'm not sure. At least the boards that I've seen or I've been on, they have interviewed me. They have done it the right way, I think. But yeah, maybe on some boards it can happen. It can be just mere tokenism, just put a figurehead there. But even that's better than nothing, I think. You know, to
Yeah, I mean, something is, at least there's
something is, yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of beginning has been made.
correct,
And,
correct.
and then my next question is about the shadow pandemic.
Ah,
The United Nations has been, I mean, women have been disproportionately impacted in the pandemic. They've had, as
yeah,
you're saying, everyone's working at home and also, working
yeah,
from home. It's
yeah.
double the amount of work and childcare and elder care, and they've had
So
it
they've
really
been,
tough
yeah,
also losing jobs.
yeah, they've been impact women. So, we haven't done any formal research on it, but we talk to consumers and women all the time, and they have been impacted disproportionately. I think there's no question about that, because the burden of the home was always on them. The burden now everybody's at home, and that burden is still there. And if they were working outside, they still have to work. So I think there's no getting away from that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing that we have found is that, like always, they're actually coping with it better than men are. For men, men are used to not being there, right? Not being at home, not that home is. I mean, for most men, maybe I shouldn't generalize in that sense, but the women are used to balancing home and work. Men are not, and uh, some men are not. I mean, let me not generalize, as I said, but we have found, at least even in the small groups that we've spoken to, etc., that men are not taking that isolation as well. And because their existence is often defined by their work outside. And so the women have become the punching bag, which is why we're seeing,
Increase
domestic
in domestic
violence going
violence.
up. And women have proved to be more resilient, and they're facing, so it's one more crisis that they're facing with creativity and with resilience and with flexibility. Okay,
Yeah. Hats
so
off to us. Hats off to us. We are doing more work, but we're also
yeah,
more resilient
and we're managing better.
and
Yeah,
we're managing better. Okay. I'll now throw it open to the audience questions.
yeah.
So many people have written in.
Question, sure.
Vitika,
Yeah,
yeah, Vitika, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, surely. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I was actually,
So, may I, Vitika, interrupt you before you start?
sure, sure.
I just wanted to introduce Vitika to all of us here. So, a
yeah,
much younger networking and advocacy platform than the IWN is the
yeah.
National Marketing Council, and Vitika is an ELSA, like all of us, and she's the honorary president of the National Marketing Council. So,
Okay,
that's another voice in this area, which I'm sure all of us can also get benefit of. So I'm sure her questions are going
absolutely.
to be far more relevant than any one of ours. So welcome, Vitika.
Thank you for joining in, Vitika. That's lovely. Yeah,
Thank
you're on
you.
mute. Yeah,
Thank you. And Preeti, you don't know me personally, neither do
no.
I, but I know of you. I have been in marketing for more than 22 years. So
Okay.
very, very, very happy to be here on the call. I wouldn't have missed it uh,
I'm
for
so
any.
glad you could make it. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
My vice president is also on this call, and there are a few of our associates also on the call. But I'll just Minu Kumar, please raise your hand if you can hear me.
Okay.
And we are really very very
Ah, there.
happy, many
Yeah.
of us, to be on the call, because we are trying to sort of really showcase the issues that women in marketing are facing, many of
Facing.
which you already spoke about right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, and maybe I will connect with you offline
You
also
should.
to
We
help.
must. We must. Absolutely. We must.
Yes.
Yeah. And you have Anita also on the call. Anita
Coming back to my question,
Madhu,
Yes, Vitika.
Hi.
who's my compatriot on
I
the IWN and doing stuff for women. So
right, right. There are so many overlaps, and we can collaborate on so many
absolutely.
fronts.
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Great.
Okay, let me get back to my specific question.
Mm.
I'm really interested to understand from you if you have. I'm sure you have done work in the area of education. We've seen
Yes.
a very significant transformation in the way education has changed in this pandemic, because from classrooms to interactions for children, it has completely moved online, and this is across pop strata,
Yeah.
across kinds of schools, etc. What I want to ask you is, we know that someday we will go back, our children will go back to school, but
Right.
do you think this will raise an opportunity for online only school models, or do you think, what are the ways that you think there are going to be some permanent changes? What permanent changes can we expect?
Okay. I think what is going to happen is what is going to happen to work, which is it will become a hybrid model. I don't think, I mean, and I don't think we will ever go back to you go to build teams, all of that. And none of that can, however much we try, unless, technology takes us to a different level, uh, you can't do that unless you're face to face. And that development for children is even more important. The learning that you do from each other
Yeah.
and your peers, and from having, from being bullied, from playing games, from having the teacher in your class, all that goes into a school. I don't think you can replicate that in India. So I think it will be a hybrid model, and you will do. It will probably be that the physical school you will do some things, and in the online school you will do other things. For instance, at work, I predict that you will use the office for collaboration, for cooperation, all of that, and maybe innovation. Whereas you will use the home for individual thinking or individual deep. Often when we are at work, we say, "My God, I wish these guys would go away so that I could think." So that's what you will use your home for. Maybe that's the way school will also evolve.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Vitika, if I may add, I had a session recently with the vice principal of Bombay International School about online education. And she said, I mean, the same thing that Preeti is
Yeah.
saying. It's not just about the academics. She says, what do I do about my annual day? This huge
Yeah.
thing in my
Yeah.
schedule. How do you get people across to have debates or quizzes? They're three
Yeah.
members to a team.
Yeah.
How do you put them all together? They're supposed to consult. So, all those kind of things are also
Yeah.
such an
Yeah.
important part of education.
I must tell you though
Yeah.
that I'm, by the way, in Calcutta, and that's why you don't see any woolens. In Calcutta, my daughters study in a school called Modern High. Many of
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
you'll be aware
Yeah.
of, and they actually had their entire annual day online this time. They had
Mm.
performances, they had talks, they had
Mm.
debates, and wonderfully curated, wonderfully done.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
definitely agree with you. We can't lose the human touch. It has to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It will
I mean,
come.
think of the lifelong friendships, Ritika, that we built in
Yeah.
school, no? Or
Yeah.
even in college.
Yes.
Can you really build that on over a laptop screen?
Yeah, no, I was just asking this question because I've
Hmm.
been approached by an organization. As part of my work, I also do consulting, strategic marketing
Right.
consulting, and approached
Right.
by an organization that has recently launched an online only school.
Okay.
They expect, so I was just trying to understand how
Yeah.
sustainable is the business model.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Thank you. Yeah, Aditi G, would you like to ask your question now?
Yes, hi. Thanks
Hi.
so much for allowing me to ask. This is phenomenal, Preeti and Gayatri. Great conversations. My mom is from 1979 batch, all
Really?
science. So yeah, Samida Gupta. She must be
Okay.
Samida Garg at that point of time. So she's here only. I just told her. So
Okay.
that's really awesome. Just I just put in a question there that. McKinsey, in one of its surveys across India in October 2020, spoke about sales model changing to digital self-serve, that you also spoke some time back, right?
Yeah.
End-to-end digital self-serve with minimal touch points. Now, if you have to crystal ball gaze into the future, let's say next 5 to 10 years, do you believe a combination of AI, and here I'm talking about autonomous intelligence, which is one step ahead of artificial intelligence, will be
Right.
taking over marketing and sales models in a big way in future, in creating like hyper personalized experiences? And what role will humans really play here? Because the touch points are decreasing, the office space is decreasing, as you alluded to some time back. So
Yeah.
it'll be great to hear your views on that, and what you have kind of put up in and Kantar, and
Yeah.
just it'll be great to hear those perspectives.
Well, Canada, we haven't yet moved beyond artificial intelligence yet, but I mean, who knows the way technology will go. But at least my firm belief is, and it's after talking to consumers for so long, for so many years, is that you will, uh, we need each other. We need that social interaction. We need the that human interaction, and eh, you know, so that will never go away. But if your question is that will we be at some level of intelligence that I can deliver a individual experience to you, which is personalized for you, I think that's already happening uh, in some, maybe in very rudimentary forms. But I mean, it happens all the time, no? When you're watching Netflix and the same kind of movies keep coming, or when you're on Amazon and
Right.
you just keep getting, you read one thriller and every single thriller on earth is put on your is there for you to look at. So that's already happening. It's happening on Facebook. Any social media thing you can see, you are constantly fed content that kind of self, that almost is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So that will happen, but if it, I think I think we'll be the poorer for it, because where is that sense of discovery and the sense of something new that you get when somebody is not curating content for you? We might miss out on that.
Sure. Like a
Yeah.
classic case in point is the Cadbury ad, right? The kind of personalization that has been done in that
Done.
ad
Yeah.
is beyond imagination.
It
Like
is. It is. Yeah.
so that is the kind of, and that can only be possible through digital, through the power of
Absolutely.
data and digital. So that's what I was.
Absolutely. Actually, that's an excellent example. That's a great example of where it is working for the consumer,
Yeah.
really working for the consumer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Moving on to the next question. This is about startup in beauty and wellness. Pia Basu, would you like to ask your question now?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Priya.
My name is Pia Basu. I'm not actually a member of ELSA, but I was invited by Vitika. And it is such a pleasure to be here and meet all of you and see all of you. And Preeti ma'am, it's obviously I've been, we are all aware. I've been in this industry for now 19 years in marketing. And it is so wonderful to actually see you and hear you all in person. So, my question actually comes from a little bit of women related products and my industry as well. I come from a direct selling background, and this direct selling as an industry actually has a lot of women who
Mm.
really look at it as an alternative source of income for their livelihood, for running like a secondary income for their homes. So we have a lot of women, but the current pandemic situation has created some
Pandemic. Yeah.
problem with the startup. I belong to a startup company which is into beauty and wellness, so we have a lot of women force. But the biggest problem I'm facing currently is how do I motivate them into promoting the brand, because it's a very new brand, and they are depending on me for their source of income. Direct selling thrives on personal touch, personal interaction. So it's really, I don't know how to build a brand at this time, and give them the opportunity that they rightfully deserve to promote the brand and sell the brand. And I'm actually very stuck as to how to mobilize my resources to its optimal. So what would you advise at this time our industry in beauty and wellness as well as this direct selling would ideally do to, in advertising and marketing to reach out to the consumers?
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a big question. Uh, Maybe we can take it offline, but I think things are not as dire or as grim as you make it out, because any direct selling depends on a network that you have, right? You don't. It's people whom you already know. So if
Correct.
you're tapping people whom you already know, just that you can't do it face to face now, you have to do it through other means,
Yeah.
through digitization, etc. The mobile phone is a great way of doing it. So think about that, and talk to Vitika as well. I'm sure she will have many ideas on it. But I think it's a big question. Let's take this. Do get in touch with me, and maybe we can work out something that.
Yeah, I'll actually be in touch with actually let me do that.
Yeah.
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 Ritu Mathur, would you like to now ask your question about women?
Ritu, you're on mute.
Ritu?
Ritu, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. So while we were talking about women breaking glass ceilings, and we were talking about women in the fields of, one is usually seen that in the fields of advertising, in the fields of marketing, in the fields of strategy, there are women on the top. But when it comes they have broken the glass ceiling most definitely there. But there still seems to be a bit of a block when it comes to heading P&L, when it comes to heading P&L of an organization or marketing or heads of companies versus heads of services or things like also the same difference is there actually in remuneration also between men and women in workplace. So you will see the marketing heads, you would see the strategy heads as women, but heads of organization would usually be men. Is that a perception of mine, or is
No,
that?
no, it's a reality. It's a reality. It's very much a reality. That's the barrier that we have to break, because for years, manufacturing companies or large corporations, I mean, forget India, even globally, women have found it very hard to get to the top. It's I mean, it's years of of what should I say,
Struggle.
dominance that needs to be broken. But it's happening. It's not happening as fast as we would like it to, but it is happening.
As a corollary to that,
Yeah.
do you think a woman is a woman's biggest critic or a biggest supporter in your working and in having risen to the top? Do you think women are the biggest critics of each other, or are they really supporters?
Yeah. No, I think I answered this
Because there's
earlier.
always a boys' club, right? There's always boys' clubs.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
I
in
think
mixed
I think
organizations, there are
women.
boys' clubs, but I haven't seen too many women's clubs. I've been part of multinational banks. They've been boys'
Yeah,
clubs.
that's because there were never enough women to form a club with, right? So now there are women. And also women tend to, I think, shy away from networking, because for a long time, they thought that it's not right. My work will speak for myself, without realizing that it is as important to build a network as anything else. But now they're learning. There are the IWN is an organization association like that. Is one of the one of the key objectives is actually networking and building a social network.
Yeah. At one level, ELSA is also trying to, help with networking.
Absolutely.
The mandate
Absolutely.
drive
Yeah.
social changes.
Exactly.
Take one last question again, a difficult question from Indu Anand. Indu, would you like to ask a question?
Difficult.
Indu, are you there?
I think she's left.
Okay, the question was, what about the marginalized section of women who are not tech savvy? What is the solution as customers?
Marginalized section of women who are not.
Not tech savvy. because everything's gone online, the digital space.
But that's true for men and women, no? I mean, it's if you're marginalized, meaning we have to make you unmarginalized regardless of your gender. But I have to say that women take to technology very well once they're given an opportunity. So, and I think that that's what they'll say, and all of what we're doing through the ELSA network is trying to do, which is make it more inclusive, right? Make technology available to everybody. And, it's a classic, example of trying to make it better for marginalized people.
Actually, women take to anything which people hitherto thought were men's domains very,
Yeah.
very well. I think it's a mind block, and the only thing that they need is communication, which doesn't seem overwhelming.
Yeah.
My experience.
Aditi made an excellent point, which is that technology actually democratizes
Absolutely.
opportunity. So one way of getting women out there is to give them technology.
Technology, yeah.
If I may say, if I may just make a point, I think
Yeah.
during this pandemic, because of
Yeah.
the fact that the men had to stay at home as well,
Yeah.
the women actually were able to participate more effectively in the workforce because everybody had to stay at home, everybody
Yeah.
had to work from home.
Right.
And I think in some industries, especially in the content writing or the more on ground marketing kind of industries, uh, at least with some clients, I've seen many more women reaching out and saying, yes, we can do it now. We don't have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
constraint. There's no travel constraint. There is no
Yeah.
constraint of time because, they can do it at
Yeah.
their pace at home.
Yeah.
I think that has been a
Absolutely.
great boon
Yeah,
on one side.
True. Good point. Yeah. Thank you.
absolutely. Anyone else would like to share some thoughts or comments?
Yeah.
Any more questions for Preeti?
Or just thoughts. I'm saying I'm learning from everybody here as well.
I think Vandana has said she wants a question.
Yes. Okay.
May I come in?
8 new messages. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Preeti. I think extremely insightful. I would like your advice, actually. I'm involved with a social enterprise. And we work very closely with a lot of NGOs, a lot of women and, rural areas, basically. We're already online, over the last few years. And I want to know how we can sensitize people without being really in their face to, to really be able to understand the power in helping out with social enterprise and
What do
without
you
being in
need
your
from
face.
them? You need funding. You need money. Do you need time? What do you need?
Actually, all in one. Frankly, you touched on many points. Yes, one is definitely funding. Then it's also about people to buy products, to realize that, let's say if you're buying a sanitizer for just which is today, like you said, whether it's masks or sanitizers, how do you sensitize people from, or rather than buy from the multinationals, that you're actually doing good by helping out the marginalized today. How do you
this is your best time, Vandana, because this is when I'm telling you, vocal for local evokes tremendous response. The only thing that they're a bit worried about local is that does it meet quality standards, etc. So we reassure them on that. And there is, I think, if one thing the pandemic has done is just made us more empathetic as human beings. And that is true. When we've spoken to consumers as well, it's just made us better people, So, I mean, I don't know about distribution strategies, etc. We can talk about later, but I'm only saying that this is time, and if it can actually come together for you because people are responding. People are, if they can, they are responding to local. They're responding to helping. I mean, you must have. I get so many requests. You all must have for these weavers who are don't have customers, and and people are buying sarees.
No, we are working very closely, in fact, even with the weavers, actually, with Creative Dignity and everything. Where it's actually, we're empowering the weavers, we're buying the saris and doing a 2-4 thing, that it's actually going out to COVID warriors, to workers. So it's like, if you're gifting, let's say, you buy a pack of 10 and in turn, so you're enabling the weaver as well as it's being gifted to those who are, out there on the front.
Worthwhile. I mean, like I'm saying, this is your time. Don't let this go, because it is
more communication required.
Would love to connect with you, Preeti, if it's okay later, to take your advice. I don't want to take away time from everybody else, but I really value it.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to add there, if I may, little bit. See, I have my own little studio where I'm connected to the weavers as well as to the retail, to the people. So initially it came as a huge shock, because suddenly the workers were there and the clients kind of flattened out completely. Nobody knew what's happening. And slowly, but I'm finding people are coming back, and the purchasing from the weavers is still very low, because we are already sitting on so much stock. So, I mean, at least for me, what I've realized is that to, one, make smaller units. I'm doing a lot of patchwork, because, you've got to like reinvent yourself. Your expectations have to come down a bit. You can't think just because you made that much earlier, it's going to happen again. So those kind of things are a little bit comforting, as long as you are being able to hold on to your employees, you're being able to cover your minimum costs, and yet if you can reinvent yourself. And for me, I found like upcycling is working out quite well. It's not just buying the saris, maybe creating something out of it. So you reinvent what is already there, because most people are not wanting to spend as much as they were earlier.
Correct.
So you've got to customize and actually redesign your way of working, not just the design part of it. But so I think we all have to reinvent somewhere, locally probably, depending on each item.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Parul. That's very useful.
We have time for one last question, Preeti, from Rakhi, asking about the rural consumer. Rakhi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks.
What was the question? Hi, Rakhi.
Yeah, Rakhi, could you ask a question? And this is the last question for the session, ladies.
Okay. Preeti, I had the opportunity to hear you in April about all the consumer insights that you might see panning out during the pandemic. And I have 3 pages of notes. And I must say, each and every one of those insights came out exactly how it played out. So
really? Wow.
I was very excited to join this session, because I was furiously writing again, because I know Preeti would have has given a lot of more insights of how we see this consumers playing out during this time. But yes, I just had a question around rural consumers. So you did speak a lot about urban consumers, but do you have any insights around how the rural consumer has changed over the years? I mean, with television.
We do have, it's not related so much to the pandemic, but we do have a lot of, I think, but basically what has changed for the rural consumer is better television, really, essentially through the mobile phone, really. So exposure and the internet, I mean, the highest growth in internet is in rural communities. The other thing about rural that many people don't realize is that I think I forgot the percentage, about 20-25%, only about 25% of rural occupation is actually related to agriculture. A lot of it is postman, teacher, and Anganwadi worker and stuff like that, which are actually organized sector professions. So the exposure has improved. They have the same aspirations. For some time, they also had more money. Right now, money is a problem across the board, across the country. One thing that the pandemic is going to do is that, with the migrant labor going back to, at least to small town and rural, a lot of their consumption behavior, they will take back with them. So, again, our marketers are again looking at the rural market as the next growth. I mean, it was a growth driver for FMCG for many years. It stopped being that. We've had a good, decent monsoon. migrant labor has gone back. Their consumption, they will influence the consumption of the village. So I think the rural will be the next boom, so to say, in as much as we can boom in a pandemic.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Preeti.
Oh, thanks, Gayatri.
Thank you for such an insightful and illuminating session. To use
I hope it was
Rakhi's words and the insight from Kantar.
okay.
Really.
It is lovely to see some old friends as well. So
yeah.
Thank you for this.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing with us, about consumer trends in the pandemic, what's going to happen. Rural is the area to go. Direct marketing, it's very tough for people trying to establish new brands.
Yeah.
But my take is, local brands are doing well. So give that trust to your own local brand.
Yeah.
And I also, my takeaway from today's session is that offices are now going to be collaborative and spaces where you cooperate and collaborate, but thinking is going to be done at home.
Yeah, I think so.
On that note,
that's my prediction for it. Yeah. And do Vandana, Ritika, anybody who wants to just do get in touch. It's lovely to connect on this. So just stay in touch. Yeah.